Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue our discussion about the solar system. We're going to discuss some key vocabulary words. Earth, the planet between Venus and Mars, the only planet where life has been found so far. Jupiter, the fifth planet from the Sun. It is the largest planet in our solar system, more than 1,000 times larger than Earth. It has over 50 moons. Mars, a red planet, fourth in distance from the Sun. Mercury, the planet closest to the Sun, the smallest planet. Neptune, the farthest planet from the Sun. It is the fourth largest. Pluto, a dwarf planet. It is farther from the Sun than Neptune. Pluto is too small to be considered a planet. It's a dwarf planet. Saturn, the sixth planet from the Sun. It is the second largest planet and has icy rings. Solar system, the collection of planets and their moons, along with other celestial bodies that orbit the Sun. Also a similar system orbiting a different star. Uranus, the seventh planet from the Sun and the third largest. Venus, the planet between Mercury and Earth in relation to the Sun. It is the sixth largest planet in the solar system and also the brightest as seen from Earth.
Let's get celestial on them. We're gonna talk about the solar system. That's right.
Yo, let's talk about our solar system. Mercury, the first planet closest to the Sun. It's also the swiftest to orbit the Sun. It's also the smallest but far from the hottest. That goes to Venus in all its uniqueness. Even though it's second place, you should know it's the planet with the hottest face. You can blame it on the thickness of the atmosphere. Unlike the third planet that we call Earth, it's the only planet where we ever seen birth, aka life. Air and water are the things that make it. Let's hop inside my spaceship and travel afar. Wait, don't forget the planet called Mars, the big red planet that most resembles ours. It's not that far, according to the physics, the planet that we sent the most ships to go visit.
Let's talk about the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The sun's in the center, and outside the sky. Let's talk about the solar system. The inner planets at a closer distance. Gas giants further out in space. I love it, the sun, the sun, the sun.
It's time to see Jupiter next, but this asteroid belt got us stuck in a mess. But you in my spaceship, so there's nothing to sweat. Take the other 7 planets and they definitely fit inside the fifth. The biggest of the gas giants, gassy composition's not that different from a star. If you see moons and rings, you should wonder where we are. It must be the 6th planet that we call Saturn, surrounded by rings with complex patterns. Hydrogen and helium make it up the most. There's 2 more planets that you really have to know. The next is Uranus, it isn't hard to find. It's the one planet always spinning on its side. Telescopes get us close to the blue and green sky. The 8th planet being Neptune is the windiest. It's the last planet, but beyond is the busiest. Region called the Kuiper Belt, we're not done. It's the home to Pluto and comets orbiting the sun. Orbit in the sun.
Let's talk about the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The sun's in the center, and outside the sky. Let's talk about the solar system. The inner planets at a closer distance. Gas giants further out in space. I love it, the sun, the sun.
Oye, Moby, creo que veo extraterrestres. Ah, ya no importa. Creo que se fueron. Queridos Tim y Moby, ¿pueden hablarme del sistema solar? Sol. Bien, el sistema solar es nuestro hogar en la galaxia. Nació hace unos 4.5 mil millones de años como una gran nube de polvo y gas en el espacio, principalmente hidrógeno y helio. En el lapso de millones de años, la gravedad atrajo cada vez más entre sí a los elementos de la nube de polvo hasta que empezaron a amontonarse. La nube también empezó a girar y el montón más grande quedó en el centro. La presión causada por la gravedad desencadenó reacciones nucleares en el centro de este gran montón y lo encendió. Se convirtió en el Sol. Los montones más pequeños pasaron a ser los planetas que conocemos hoy. Algunos de ellos formaron pedazos grandes de roca llamados los planetas terrestres. La Tierra es uno de ellos. Otros se convirtieron en bolas grandes casi completamente gaseosas llamadas gigantes de gas como Júpiter. Bueno, el Sol está en el centro de nuestro sistema solar. En realidad es solo una estrella de tamaño mediano, pero para nosotros es la estrella más importante de todas. Los 8 planetas de nuestro sistema solar son satélites del Sol. Eso significa que describen una órbita alrededor de él. Los 4 planetas interiores son rocosos, relativamente calientes y tienen cráteres. Mercurio es el planeta más cercano al Sol. Se parece a nuestra Luna y tiene un lado muy caliente y otro muy frío. Mercurio tiene muy poca atmósfera y nada de agua. No podrías ir ahí. Te derretirías o te congelarías. Venus tiene casi el mismo tamaño de la Tierra. A veces se le llama el planeta hermano de la Tierra. La atmósfera de Venus es densa y está hecha de dióxido de carbono. Atrapa tanto calor que en la superficie la temperatura puede alcanzar más de 450 grados centígrados. Sí, definitivamente te derretirías en Venus. El tercer planeta desde el Sol es la Tierra, donde vivimos. Tiene las condiciones óptimas para los humanos, las plantas y los animales. Marte se llama el planeta rojo por su superficie rojiza creada por el hierro de las rocas marcianas. Marte tiene 2 lunas y la montaña más alta del sistema solar, llamada Monte Olimpo. Aunque ahora es muy seco, los científicos creen que Marte se pareció alguna vez mucho a la Tierra, posiblemente con océanos y ríos que corrían sobre su superficie. Los 4 planetas exteriores están muy lejos del Sol, así que son mucho más fríos. Júpiter es el mayor y es uno de esos gigantes de gas de los que te hablé antes. Es enorme, con una masa 318 veces más grande que la de la Tierra. Júpiter está rodeado de más de 60 lunas. También tiene una tormenta permanente en la superficie, llamada la Gran Mancha Roja, que es mucho mayor que la Tierra entera. Saturno es otro gigante de gas, con más de 45 lunas que giran en torno de él. Probablemente lo reconozcas por su asombroso conjunto de anillos. Los anillos son una capa delgada de millones de trozos de hielo y roca. Urano es un planeta gaseoso con pequeños anillos grises y más de 25 lunas. Urano está tan inclinado que parece estar de lado. Nadie sabe a ciencia cierta por qué está así, pero algunos científicos creen que algún cuerpo que pasaba lo golpeó durante sus primeros días. Neptuno es el último gigante de gas y tiene más de 12 lunas. Lleva el nombre del dios romano del mar, tal vez porque es muy azul. Hay una gran mancha oscura de tormenta en Neptuno que se parece a la gran mancha roja de Júpiter. Correcto, el sistema solar no está formado solo por los planetas y el Sol. También flotan por ahí muchos cuerpos más pequeños. Los asteroides son fragmentos de roca que miden desde centímetros hasta cientos de kilómetros de ancho y que vagan por el sistema solar. La mayor parte de ellos están concentrados en el cinturón de asteroides entre Marte y Júpiter. El planeta enano Plutón, conocido como planeta principal hasta que lo degradaron en 2006, es un cuerpo rocoso y frío aún más pequeño que nuestra Luna. Plutón tiene una extraña órbita elíptica que a veces lo pone más cerca del Sol de lo que está Neptuno. También tiene por lo menos 3 lunas, Caronte, Hidra y Nix. Por cierto, Plutón no es el único planeta enano. Otros son Ceres, el objeto más grande del cinturón de asteroides, y un objeto llamado Eris, ligeramente mayor que Plutón. Los cometas son montones de hielo y polvo que giran alrededor del Sol. Cuando se acercan al Sol, parte de su hielo forma colas largas y tenues que a veces pueden verse desde la Tierra.
El cinturón de Kuiper y la nube de Oort son zonas en las regiones más remotas del sistema solar, donde se piensa que se originan cuerpos pequeños como los cometas.
Ya lo sé, hay una gran diversidad de cosas en el sistema solar. ¿Cuál es tu preferida? Sí, la Tierra también es mi preferida.
Exploring exoplanets. Stars and planets. The sky is filled with stars. On a clear night, you may be able to see lots of them. Planets travel around some of those stars, but you cannot see the planets. Unlike stars, planets do not give off their own light. This night sky is filled with planets and stars. You can see the stars, but not the planets. Do you know why? A planet is a round object in space that travels around a star. Earth is a planet. The star that Earth travels around is the sun. 7 other planets travel around the sun too. This is what the Earth looks like from space. Clouds swirl around Africa and Antarctica in this image. The sun and its planets are called the solar system. Planets that travel around other stars are not in our solar system. These planets are called exoplanets. They are very far from Earth. This illustration shows the sun, its planets, and other objects in space. Astronauts use giant telescopes to search space for exoplanets. Finding exoplanets. Astronomers are scientists who study space. For a long time, they thought exoplanets existed, but they had no proof. In the 1990s, astronomers found exoplanets for the first time. They used telescopes to find the planets. Astronomers have discovered more than 500 exoplanets. This researcher uses a telescope to study space. Types of exoplanets. Astronomers look for all kinds of exoplanets. Mostly, they find big ones. Those are the easiest planets to spot, but they also look for small planets that are like Earth. Astronomers call giant exoplanets Jupiters. The name comes from the planet Jupiter seen in this photo. Jupiters and Neptunes. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. So when astronomers find a very large exoplanet, they call it Jupiter. Hot Jupiter is the name for a large exoplanet that travels close to its star. Stars are very hot. Planets that travel close to their stars are hot too. Some exoplanets are smaller than Jupiter, but they're still much bigger than Earth. These planets are called Neptunes. The real planet Neptune is the 4th largest planet in our solar system. Some Neptunes get close to their stars. These are called hot Neptunes. Jupiters and Neptunes are made of gas. The Jupiter and Neptune in our solar system are made of gas too. Neptune, seen here, is the sun's most distant planet. Earth-like planets. Smaller Earth-like planets are usually rocky, just like Earth, but they are very hard to find. Could exoplanets have life on them? Astronomers think an Earth-like planet might. They are excited to learn more about Earth-like exoplanets. Astronomers believe they have found at least 6 planets orbiting the star. Some of the planets, including, may be Earth-like. This diagram shows what the star system may look like compared to our own solar system. We can't actually see most exoplanets, even with telescopes. A star's light is too bright. All we can see is the star. Astronomers must study the star to find out if it has a planet. These astronomers in New York study the stars. Even the most powerful telescopes can't see most exoplanets.
Best wishes, Bruce Deegan and Joanna Cole.
The Magic School Bus, Lost in the Solar System. Written by Joanna Cole. Illustrated by Bruce Deegan. It was trip day again in Miss Frizzle's class. Everyone was excited. We were going to the planetarium to see a sky show about the solar system.
Class! An orbit is the path of a planet or other object around the sun.
I knew that. I get all A's in school.
What a show-off!
Arnold's cousin, Janet, was visiting our class for the day.
I know all of you will be nice to our guest,
said the Frizz. I have 5 computers. Thanks for inviting your cousin, Arnold. My class went to the planetarium last year.
She's actually nice when you get to know her.
We tried to be nice to Janet. We really did. As we got on the school bus, we told her that Ms. Frizzle is the weirdest teacher in school. But Janet wasn't interested. She wanted to tell us about herself. My school is taller than your school. Our swings are better than your swings. My teacher is weirder than your teacher.
Who wants a tall school?
As usual, it took a while to get the old bus started. But finally, we were on our way. As we were driving, Ms. Frizzle told us all about how the Earth spins like a top as it moves in its orbit. It was just a short drive to the planetarium, but Ms. Frizzle talked fast.
This bus is a wreck.
At least it started this time. We have new school buses at our school.
When the Earth spins, we say it rotates. The Earth makes one rotation, turn, every day.
When we got to the planetarium, it was closed for repairs.
Class, this means we'll have to return to school,
said the Frizz. We were so disappointed.
Back to school? I'm so depressed.
My planetarium is always open. On the way back, as we were waiting at a red light, something amazing happened. The bus started tilting back, and we heard the roar of rockets.
Oh, dear,
said Miss Frizzle.
We seem to be blasting off.
Here we go again. Not another crazy trip.
Children, we are going through the atmosphere, the layers of air around the Earth.
I guess we'll be seeing the solar system after all.
My bus has bigger rockets than your bus.
Yeah, right, Janet.
When the roar of the rocket stopped, we looked around. Everything had changed. The bus had turned into a spaceship. We were all dressed in spacesuits, and we were lighter than feathers. We floated above our seats. I'm flying! I'm flying higher than you are.
Look, it's a UFB. B.
A what?
An unidentified flying banana.
Far behind, in the black sky, we saw the planet Earth getting smaller and smaller. We were traveling in space. We had become astronauts.
Look how small the Earth seems from here.
Class, notice Earth's blue oceans, white clouds, and brown land.
It's beautiful. I think I have to go to the bathroom.
The Frizz said our first stop would be the moon. We got off the bus and looked around. There was no air, no water, no sign of life. All we saw were dust and rock and lots of craters. Ms. Frizzle said the craters were formed billions of years ago when the moon was hit by meteorites. Meteorites are falling chunks of rock and metal.
We are so light on the moon.
That's because the moon has less gravity than the Earth.
Look how high we can jump. I was in a national jump rope contest. I won, of course. Is there a national bragging contest?
It was fun on the moon. We wanted to play, but Ms. Frizzle said it was time to go. So we got back on the bus.
We'll start with the sun, the center of the solar system,
said the Frizz, and we blasted off. We zoomed toward the sun, the biggest, brightest, and hottest object in the solar system. Jets of super hot gases shot out at us from the surface. Thank goodness Ms. Frizzle didn't get too close.
You should never look directly at the sun, children. It can damage your eyes.
You should never drive a bus directly into the sun either.
She steered around to the other side and pulled away.
We'll be seeing all the planets in order, class,
explained Frizzy.
Mercury is the first planet, the closest to the sun.
My school is heated with solar energy. I have a sun deck. I have 10 pairs of sunglasses. Give us a break, Janet.
Mercury was a dead, sun-baked planet.
This planet is a lot like our moon. There is no water and hardly any air,
said the Frizz.
Notice the craters on its surface as we pass by.
The sun looks so much bigger than it does from Earth.
That's because Mercury is so close.
Too close. Let's go.
Before long, we felt ourselves being pulled in by the gravity of Venus, the second planet from the sun. Venus was completely covered by a thick layer of yellowish clouds.
We will now explore the surface of Venus,
said Ms. Frizzle.
We're gaining weight and we haven't even had lunch.
We will be heavier here than on the moon or Mercury because Venus has more gravity.
Below the clouds, Venus was as dry as a desert. The ground was covered with rocks, and it was hot. It was about 460 degrees Celsius. That's much hotter than an oven baking cookies.
There's no life on Venus, class.
It's too hot.
It's too dry. There's too much acid.
Let's leave.
The air was so heavy we could feel it pressing down on us. Ms. Frizzle said there might be active volcanoes around too. We said, let's get out of here.
Our next stop is Mars, the red planet, fourth from the sun,
announced the Frizz.
On our way, we'll be passing through the orbit of Earth, the third planet.
The bus lifted off with a roar.
I've been to Mars lots of times. Just ignore her.
As we came close to Mars, we passed its 2 moons, which are called Phobos and Deimos. Compared to our moon, they were tiny, and they weren't even round.
Those are moons?
They look like potatoes with craters. Long ago, there was water in those channels, but today...
Mars's water is frozen in the polar ice caps and in the channels.
Looking down, we saw a huge canyon. Ms. Frizzle said it was as long as the United States. There was a volcano 3 times taller than the tallest volcano on Earth. And all around, there were channels that looked like dried up riverbeds. Ice can be found under the soil.
Earth is the best planet for life. That's why I live there.
Janet likes to be the best.
We noticed.
We landed and started walking around. Suddenly, a huge dust storm blew up. Ms. Frizzle said dust storms on Mars can last for months. They may cover the whole planet.
Are there any aliens here?
I don't see any.
Don't be too sure. We scrambled back on the bus and headed out.
Mars is the last of what we call the inner planets.
Ms. Frizzle shouted above the roar of the rockets.
We will now be going through the asteroid belt to the outer planets. Isn't space travel exciting, Arnold?
I really prefer video games.
Thousands of asteroids were spinning all around us. All at once, we heard the tinkling of broken glass. One of our taillights had been hit by an asteroid. Ms. Frizzle put the bus on autopilot and went out to take a look. She kept on talking about asteroids over the bus radio.
The largest asteroid is only 1/3 the size of our moon. Most asteroids are the size of houses or smaller.
I wish she'd come inside.
Suddenly, there was a snap. Ms. Frizzle's tether line had broken. Without warning, the rockets fired up and the bus zoomed away. The autopilot was malfunctioning. On the radio, Ms. Frizzle's voice grew fainter and fainter.
Kids, I'll meet you later. Later.
Come in, Ms. Frizzle. Do you read me?
Then she was gone. We were on our own. We were lost in the solar system. Most of us were too scared to move. But Janet started searching the bus. In the glove compartment, she found Ms. Frizzle's lesson book. As she began reading from it, a huge planet came into view.
Class, this is Jupiter.
Janet read.
It's the first of the outer planets and the largest planet in the solar system.
She shouldn't touch Miss Frizzle's things.
But this is an emergency. As we approach Jupiter, we can see some of its many moons. Arnold, are you listening?
Boy, Ms. Frizzle plans everything.
We thought the school bus was going to land, but there was no solid ground to land on. Jupiter is a gas giant, a planet made almost entirely of gas. As we left Jupiter, we wondered and worried. Would we ever get home?
Jupiter is so big that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside it.
Ms. Frizzle, where are you?
The next sight made us forget our troubles. It was Saturn, a gas planet like Jupiter. It had swirling clouds and lots of moons. But the most incredible thing about Saturn was its rings. It was the most beautiful planet in the solar system.
There are thousands of rings around Saturn, class.
They look like the grooves in an old phonograph record.
Saturn is the grooviest planet, man. Next was Uranus, a blue-green gas planet with faint gray rings and moons. Some scientists think they might be made of chunks of graphite, the material used in pencils on Earth.
Methane gas in its atmosphere makes Uranus look blue.
You look kind of blue yourself.
I'm freezing!
That's because we're so far away from the sun. The bus was going faster and faster, and we couldn't control the autopilot. We swept past stormy Neptune, another blue-green planet, 8th from the sun. All we could think about was finding Miss Frizzle.
Neptune is the last of the giant gas planets.
We're almost out of gas ourselves, and the nearest service station is 4,000 million kilometers away. We were going so fast, we almost missed seeing Pluto and its moons. Charon is the biggest one, and Hydra and Nix are smaller. We were so far away from the sun that it didn't look big anymore. It just looked like a very, very bright star.
I don't see anything but stars.
Another star may have life on one of its planets.
We'll have to wait and see.
I hope Miss Frizzle is waiting too. Janet flipped rapidly through Ms. Frizzle's book. Suddenly, she found something new. The instructions for the autopilot. We punched in asteroid belt on the control panel. Slowly, the bus turned around. It was working. We were going back.
Janet really saved the day.
I told you she's a good kid. When we reached the asteroid belt, there was Miss Frizzle. Hey, that asteroid is dressed funny.
That's not an asteroid. It's Miss Frizzle.
Boy, am I glad to see her. Me too. With Frizzy back at the wheel, the bus headed straight for Earth. We re-entered the atmosphere, landed with a thump, and looked around.
Boys and girls, we are arriving on Earth, the third planet from the sun.
We were in the school parking lot again. The rockets were gone. The spacesuits were gone. The bus was a wreck. Everything was back to normal.
Thank goodness.
Hello again, old friend.
In the classroom, we made a terrific chart of the planets and a mobile of the solar system. At last, it was time to go home. It had been a typical day in Ms. Frizzle's class. Now, we had only one problem. Would anyone ever believe us when we told about our trip?
We went to outer space today.
Of course you did, dear.
My favorite planet was Jupiter. No, maybe Mars. Oh, of course, Saturn was gorgeous, too.
Mom, make him stop.
And there was Miss Frizzle floating among the asteroids.
What an imagination.
We could have been lost in space forever.
Eat your salad, honey.
Attention readers, do not attempt this trip on your own school bus. 3 reasons why not. 1. Attaching rockets to your school bus will upset your teacher, the school principal, and your parents. It will not get you into orbit anyway. An ordinary bus cannot travel in outer space, and you cannot become astronauts without years of training. 2. Landing on certain planets may be dangerous to your health. Even astronauts cannot visit Venus, it's too hot. Mercury, it's too close to the sun. Or Jupiter. Its gravity would crush human beings. People cannot fly to the sun either. Its gravity and heat would be too strong. 3. Space travel could make you miss dinner with your family for the rest of your childhood. Even if a school bus could go to outer space, it could never travel through the entire solar system in one day. It took years for the Voyager space probes to do that. On the other hand, if a red-haired teacher in a funny dress shows up at your school, start packing.
Class, please take your seats. Before we go home, you all did such a great job on your reports that I'm going to read them out loud. Please go back and open your books to page 4. We'll start with What is the Solar System? By John. What is the solar system? By John. The solar system is the sun and all the bodies that orbit around it, the planets, their moons, the asteroids, comets, and other chunks of rock, ice, and dust. Turn to page 7. What makes night and day? By Phoebe. The spinning of the earth makes night and day. When one side of the earth faces the sun, it is daytime on that side. When that side turns away from the sun, it is night. And now, page 9, please. Why are spaceships launched with rockets? By Wanda. Spaceships cannot just fly into outer space. They need rockets to break free from the powerful grip of Earth's gravity. And also on page 9, What is gravity? By Michael. Gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the center of the Earth. Other planets have gravity too. Larger planets usually have more gravity. Smaller planets usually have less gravity. And now turn the page to page 10. Why do people feel weightless in space? By Phil. A spaceship and the people in it both go into orbit around the nearest planet or sun. When this happens, the people are no longer pulled toward the floor of the ship, so they float around. And now on page 13, What makes the moon shine? By Rachel. The moon does not make any light of its own. The moonlight we see from Earth is really light from the sun. It hits the moon and bounces off, the way light is reflected from a mirror. And also on page 13, The Moon's Orbit by Amanda Jane. The moon travels in orbit around the Earth, just as the Earth travels around the sun. Now on page 14. The Sun is a Star by Carmen. Our sun is an average star like the ones we see in the night sky. And just below, How big is the sun? By Gregory. Our sun measures more than 1,000,000 kilometers across. More than 1,000,000 Earths could fit inside it. And now on page 15, How hot is the sun? By Flory. At the center of the sun, the temperature is about 15 million degrees Celsius. The sun is so hot, it heats planets that are millions of kilometers away. And now on page 17. Why are Venus's clouds yellow? By Tim. Earth's clouds are white because they are made of water vapor. Venus's clouds are made mostly of a deadly yellow poison called sulfuric acid. And now, on the next page, 18, Why is it so hot on Venus? By Ralph. Venus's atmosphere has a lot of carbon dioxide gas in it. Carbon dioxide acts like a blanket to hold heat in. When heat is trapped like this by a planet's atmosphere, it is called the greenhouse effect. Next, on page 19, It Never Rains on Venus by Dorothy Ann. Venus's clouds never make rain because it is too hot for rain to form. Any liquid on Venus dries up instantly. Now on page 20. Why Aren't Mars's Moons Round? By John. Large moons are round because of their gravity. Billions of years ago, when large moons formed, their gravity pulled in their material evenly and made them round. The moons of Mars are so small that they don't have enough gravity to be round. Right next door on page 21, Is There Life on Mars? By Molly. No life has been found on Mars. Living things need water, and there is no liquid water on Mars. So space scientists think life probably cannot exist there. Turn the page to 22. Why is Mars red? By Arnold. Mars looks red because there is a lot of rusty iron in its soil. The sky looks pinkish because of red dust in the air. And on the opposite page 23, What are the inner planets? By Alex. The inner planets are the 4 planets closest to the Sun: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The 4 inner planets are all hard and rocky. Now turn the page to 24. The Asteroid Belt by Shirley. The area between the inner and the outer planets is called the asteroid belt. It is filled with thousands and thousands of asteroids. And just below, What are asteroids? By Flory. Asteroids are chunks of rock and metal in orbit around the Sun. They may be building blocks of a planet that never formed, or they could be pieces of planets that broke apart. Now turn to page 27. What is Jupiter's Great Red Spot? By Gregory. The red spot is probably a huge storm of swirling gas that has lasted for over 100 years. Page 28. What are Saturn's rings? By Rachel. Saturn's rings are made of ice, rock, and dust, all in orbit around the planet. On the next page, 29, The Floating Planet by Phoebe. Saturn is made of materials that are lighter than water. If there were a bathtub big enough, Saturn could float in it. And on page 30, The Tipped-Over Planet by Ralph. Uranus spins differently from the other planets. It seems to be lying on its side compared to most other planets in the solar system. And next door on page 31, How Long is a Year? By Tim. A year is the time it takes for a planet to go all around the Sun. Neptune and Uranus are so far away from the Sun that they have very long years. 1 year on Uranus is 84 Earth years. Neptune's year is 165 Earth years. Page 32. Is Pluto a real planet? By Wanda. People used to call Pluto a planet. Then, scientists saw a lot of small bodies out beyond Pluto. They are called Kuiper Belt objects, KBOs for short. Now, scientists call Pluto a KBO, or Plutoid. And finally, on page 33, Beyond Pluto, Stars and More Stars by Alex. Beyond our solar system are billions and billions of stars. There are so many stars, and they are so far away that our minds cannot even imagine it. Some of those stars appear to have planets, and some of those planets could have life on them, just like our Earth.
I'm the sun. I'm a burning ball of fire. I'm very big indeed. Life on Earth depends on me. I am the sun.
First, go to www.kahoot.it.
I am Mercury. I'm the closest planet to the sun.
An appropriate nickname as well.
I'm a ball of iron. I have no moon. I am Mercury. I am Venus. I'm the same size as the Earth, but I spin the other way and much more slowly. I have no water. I am Venus. I am the Earth, the place where we all live. There is land and lots of sea, so I look blue. I have a moon. I am the Earth. I am Mars. I'm a rocky red planet. My mountains are the highest in our solar system. I have 2 moons. I am Mars. I am Jupiter. I'm a gas giant. I'm the biggest, and I spin the fastest. I have the biggest moon. I am Jupiter. I am Saturn. I'm a gas giant. My rings are made of ice. Titan is my biggest moon. I am Saturn. I am Uranus. I'm an icy gas giant. I'm the coldest planet in our solar system. And I have rings made of dust. I am Uranus. I am Neptune. I'm an icy gas giant. I'm the farthest planet from the sun. I have many storms. I am Neptune.
The solar system. How long does it take the Earth to fully spin on its axis? A year, a month, 24 hours, or 2 hours? And boys and girls, if you don't or cannot play Kahoot, you can answer simply by answering in the chat. Everything in the solar system revolves around the Earth, the Moon, the Milky Way, the Sun. What is the correct answer, boys and girls? How long does it take the Earth to orbit the sun? A week, 365 days, a day, 500 days. How many planets are there in our solar system? Now, boys and girls, the answer has changed since I was a child. Yes, they used to include Pluto as a planet, but Pluto is no longer considered a planet. When I was in school, we were taught Pluto is a planet, so we said there were 9 planets, but actually now there are only 8. What planet was downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet in 2006? Pluto, Mars, Mercury, or Venus? What planet is closest to the sun? Earth, Venus, Pluto, or Mercury? Which planet is known as the Goldilocks planet? Venus, Earth, Uranus, Jupiter. And boys and girls, sometimes we may say the names of the planet differently because I'm originally from the South. The answer is Earth. Earth is the Goldilocks planet. Which is the largest planet in the solar system? All right, boys and girls, put your answer in. Mercury, Earth, Pluto, or Jupiter. The answer is Jupiter. What year did Neil Armstrong land on the moon? 1985, 1958, 1969, 1972. What is your answer, boys and girls? Do your dance. Now, boys and girls, let's play Jeopardy. You can simply play Jeopardy by going to the following website, https://Jeopardy Labs, all together, jeopardylabs.com. Then click Find or Search for a Jeopardy game and type in Solar System. All right, boys, are you ready? Boys and girls, are you ready? Okay. True and false. Uranus rings were discovered from Earth. Is that true or false? Type your answer in the chat or in your Google Docs document to send to me. The answer is false. Moon phases. Which phase is number 5? And we'll talk about this soon. It is a full moon. Moon phase is 400. What is phase number 1? Type your answer in the chat. It's a new moon. Good job, boys and girls. Stars for 300. After our star blows off its red giant shell, it will become a... And it's okay if you don't know the answers yet. We're still learning more about the solar system. is a white dwarf? You may also use your Google to research some of your answers very, very quickly. True or false for 200? There is evidence that there may have once been liquid water on Mars. Boys and girls, is that true or false? True. Planets for 100. The only planet currently capable of supporting life. Boys and girls, I think that you live on this planet. What is it? Earth. Planet part 2 for 100. It has the most distinct rings. In the chat, the inbox, or in Google Docs. What is hydrogen? Stars for 200. Our yellow dwarf star will expand into a giant. What is a red giant? Moon phases for 200. Look at the diagram, boys and girls, on the screen. What is phase number 3? A third quarter moon. Planets for 200. The smallest gas giant planet. Moon phases for 200. What is phase number 7? First quarter moon. Planets for 200. The coldest planet, including dwarf planets. Forces for 100. All objects are attracted to each other by the force of for 200. The strength of gravity depends mainly on mass and distance. Day and night are caused by Earth's rotation on its axis. The northern hemisphere has this season when tilted away from the sun. Winter. What is winter? A body that orbits a primary is a satellite. What is a satellite? What is Venus? Phase number 2. Moon phase is 1 for 300. What is phase number 2? The waning crescent. True or false? A moon phase is waning if the size of the visible moon is getting smaller. Is that true or false? It is true. Planets part 1 for 300. The largest confirmed planet. What is Jupiter? Boys and girls, we will continue learning about our solar system in our next class or session in the flying classroom.